It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us as we delve into the final hour of the show. And today we pay special attention to when human and wildlife collide. That's in reference, obviously, to the seals that have been subject to various forms of abuse by members of the public over the holiday season, following some rather alarming, aggressive moments of behavior. Now, Chief Inspector Jaco Pieterse from the Cape of Good Hope, SPCA, who do amazing work, join us about this important discussion. So just to fill in, I don't know all of the details, so maybe, Jaco, a good place to start is, first of all, Happy New Year to you and your amazing team. You guys really do some incredible work on the ground level where it's needed most. What's been happening? Can you explain to us the situations that have led to this kind of, it almost feels like a bit of a make or break moment here. What has been going on?
So with the festive season, we've seen a lot of holiday goers coming to Cape Town, and obviously with that we've got a lot of seals on the beaches, and unfortunately the bad habit that people have, they cannot leave wild animals alone, and then they want to take a selfie or want to disturb the animals while they're resting. And then unfortunately we've seen an attack on Camps Bay Beach where a seal attacked two beachgoers.
And a seal is a terrifying thing to see when it's in that state. But we know them as these docile, lovable, wonderful creatures that might be part of the problem, that you think they're not wild animals that you should be avoiding. What is primarily driving these kind of adverse interactions between wildlife and humans? Is it just a case of our territories have now completely overlapped? What is the spark here that is causing the aggressive behavior?
So I think one of the main reasons that we face is that people cannot leave the wildlife alone, unfortunately, and they see a seal resting on the beach, which is not abnormal for them to do.
Yeah, it's their place, it's their beach. Yeah.
Exactly, and then people will approach the seals where they should just leave them, keep their distance, let them rest, and phone those that know how to deal with them, like the SPCA. We've got a dedicated wildlife department. Rather phone the experts instead, don't intervene yourself. And I think that's the biggest problem. People don't know when to stay away.
It's easy to understand why there is this overlap. I don't go to the beaches over this time of the year because there are just too many people there. We forget that any beach is an engagement with a wild space. The ocean is still wild. What do we need to do to address this? How can we, as beachgoers, as tourists going to an area into their territory, how do we turn the tide, Joe, do you think?
So I think we need to respect wild animals, and we need to accept that ultimately, yes, they're resting on the beach, but they are wild animals. So stay away, don't approach them, phone the people that know how to deal with them.
And I think it can turn very quickly, and especially if kids are involved, just make sure you're always watching. Should be the case on any beach, you should be vigilant. And I think it's maybe this notion of them being these sweet, cute, and I know there are instances where they are almost posed for camera shots. Don't let that fool you. We're going to continue to delve a little deeper into why these events could be happening, and most importantly, what we as beachgoers who get to enjoy these incredible, these beautiful wild spaces, what we can do to improve the situation. And if you've got any questions or any advice, some insights to share, please send those to us. You can use our WhatsApp line 063-408-8863. We've got the expert in the house. If you've got any questions about how you can keep yourself and your beach safe, let us know.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue to build on our wildlife knowledge this morning with wild animal run-ins, unfortunately of the negative kind, stealing a lot of headlines. And we are obviously talking about seals that have lately been subjected to various forms of abuse by members of the public. And this has resulted in some scenes that have gone viral, and we'll touch on one of those in a moment. And of course, we are joined by Chief Inspector Jaco Pieterse from the Cape of Good Hope, SPCA, and marine biologist and good mate of the show, Mark Fitzgibbon, to talk all about the behavioral changes that have been noted in the seals. So welcome back and welcome to you. Good to have you here. But let's first set the scene. A lot of people have been asking about these incidents. So let's hone in on one. It is a little bit intense, so please be warned. But this is what went down on one of our beaches. Take a look. I can speak from a parent's perspective, absolutely terrifying. But in this case, it's actually a seal in the water, not just a seal that is sitting lonely on a beach. You can see how congested that space is. Just looking at this, you can understand why there would be conflict. There's a lot of people, there's a crazy energy. a seal arriving in this sort of space is not going to feel safe. I'm not a behaviorist by any stretch of the imagination, but this does seem like a recipe for disaster. That's absolutely terrifying, I think, for the people involved, especially with little children involved. So you can understand the knee-jerk reaction. Parents especially, I think, would be terrified. But anyone wants to feel safe when they're at a beach. And right now, neither the animals nor the beachgoers are feeling particularly safe at the moment. Mark, great to have you back with us. Happy New Year to you as well, my friend. I just want to hone in on one voice note quickly and see if you guys can tap into this. Darren weighed in with this particular voice note. Let's hear what he had to say.
Morning, Expresso morning show.
Morning.
My name's Darren Valentino Parker, and I just wanted to ask, what do you do when you see a seal just laying on the beach? Do you call the authorities? Do you call, like, I don't know, the lifeguards? Or do you just leave it?
Okay, well, various ways of approaching this. Let's start with the procedure. Jaco, in terms of a seal being there, if it's on a beach where you don't anticipate it, what should you ideally do?
So the safest thing is to stay clear of the seal, keep your distance, and rather phone the SPCA Wildlife Department. We will send our inspectors to go and have a look. It doesn't mean because a seal is on the beach that there's something necessarily wrong with the seal. So it can be dangerous. Seals can give a nasty bite that can have serious repercussions for people.
Septicemia.
Correct. So their teeth are infected or with bacteria. So best is stay clear and let the experts come and deal with it.
Completely. Why, Mark? Why? I can understand if a seal is being harassed out of its comfy spot while it's presumably sunbathing, just chilling, that's what they look like they're doing and living their best lives. If they are constantly being shooed by a particular species, they're going to start to view that species differently. But fight or flight? Why is flight becoming fight?
So in the beginning of last year and the end of, I would say, 2021, there was a massive red tide event, kind of like an algal bloom, and that affected a lot of the seal's environment. A lot of its prey items, the things that they eat, were actually poisoned by a chemical called domoic acid. And seals will eat these items, getting poisoned themselves. Now, usually, I'm sure you know when there's a red tide, people always tell you, stay away from shellfish. And seals eat a lot of shellfish, so they got kind of poisoned by this acid. Usually what happens in humans is we vomit and we have a really bad, reaction. But the seals don't have that reaction, so they'll just keep on eating. A lot of them actually died off, but some of them survived. And what this chemical does, it affects their brains and their hearts. It causes a lot of swelling around there. So what we've seen in studies from New Zealand and California is that fight, flight, or freeze response just turns into fight. So this is kind of a long-term thing. After a few months after these events, that seal, I don't think, we didn't watch the whole video, but that seal had so many opportunities to actually escape. But it chose, no, I'm going to defend myself now. And also after...
brandy for seals. We've been giving the seals brandy. And now they want to do it.
Oh, yes, definitely. Quite the strong brandy at that, too.
Yeah, but this is terrifying. So is this something that is going to happen every time we have a red tide? Is this something that's going to continue within the seals in our area, or will it likely move into another phase now? How concerned should we be about this behavior?
So we don't actually know that yet, but there are a lot of science going on this particular topic. I know Sea Search is doing some projects, but what we've seen in other countries is that it can actually, be very long-term, couple of months, even years after a red tide event. And with red tides becoming more, there's a lot more of them happening with global change and all of these things. It could become a normal thing. But also, just with seals in general, if you do see a seal, charging at you, rather just steer clear of that seal and call the SPCA or anyone else. Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think you could have said it better yourself. Call the pros. I'm going to say thank you so much for being what you guys are. The amount of times I've come to your organization with a little bird that needs to be healed, you've never turned me or my boy away. Thank you for being that, and thank you for fighting this battle, which has two directions. It's educational, but it's also let's get practical and be careful on the beaches. Phone the experts if you need to. At no point should you be approaching, taking selfies with, chasing, or engaging with any wild animal. They are wild. And when wildlife is thriving, we all thrive. It's our natural resource. We've got to look after it.